So this is a brief tutorial about how to revise an essay. You've already turned it in, you've gotten feedback from your teacher, probably through like a writing conference or comments we've written on there, and now you want to go back and make it better. And when you go back and make it better, we don't want you just to make corrections and then keep making the same mistakes in the next essay. We want you to understand why you're changing it, how you're making it better, and what it's going to do for your audience. So we call that meta text. And meta text is a combination of metacognition. So this is a brief tutorial about how to revise an essay. You've already turned it in, you've gotten feedback from your teacher, probably through like a writing conference or comments we've written on there, and now you want to go back and make it better. And when you go back and make it better, we don't want you just to make corrections and then keep making the same mistakes in the next essay. We want you to understand why you're changing it, how you're making it better, and what it's going to do for your audience. So we call that meta text. And meta text is a combination of metacognition, and that word means thinking about thinking. So is this the most effective attention getter? Why do I need to fix this run-on sentence? Or why even is it a run-on sentence? Why does this word need to be capitalized? Why did I add a sentence at the end of the paragraph to wrap it up? Things like that. So thinking about thinking, and we're making it specific to text, which is your writing. And that's how we got meta text. So I want to show you what it's going to look like in an actual essay. Okay, so imagine this is actually my essay. If I were a student, this is what my teacher would hear. So on the screen they would see a snapshot of my essay, or if you can do it through Google Docs, you'll have to play around it with a little bit. I took screenshots of different pieces of this essay. So you'll notice I've got all my labeling, and anything that I changed I decided to highlight in yellow. So if I were a student, I would say, like, hello, Miss Masajeski. On my essay, some things that I changed were, in the first paragraph, I had to fix my source. It wasn't originally capitalized or even cited, and I forgot to put a period at the end. So I went back and I added anonymous, because it's from an anonymous author, and I put a period at the end of that to fix my punctuation. The next change in yellow is where it says, going to jail would not be the best choice for troubled teens, because when a troubled teen finally gets out of jail, they seem to be coming back after 2 years and begin committing more crimes. So I had to change the middle of it. It was a run-on. It just kind of kept going. It said, best choice for troubled teens, a troubled teen finally. So I had to add a conjunction. So I added because and when, which is a subordinating conjunction, and I made it into an ID. So I didn't have to add a comma or anything. I just fixed my run-on by adding an Abby Saw Woo or an SC. The next change is I didn't have a transition at the beginning of my first body paragraph, so I wanted to add a transition on to help it be more organized for my reader and to introduce my main idea better. So I had to add a transition with a comma after it and then make the O in one lowercase. Now I move to a second snapshot of the rest of my essay, or at least the second chunk that I'm going to show you guys. The next correction that you can see in yellow is I had a citation from should juveniles go to jail, but it didn't have quotation marks around it and it wasn't capitalized, and I didn't put like any page number or anything. So I had to add should juvenile. I had to capitalize the S in should and the J in juvenile because it's the title. I had to put quotes around it because it's the title of an article, and I had to add N period PAG period because there wasn't a page number associated with it. The next change you can see is at the end of my first body paragraph, I added the sentence, obviously going to jail is going to make the strongest impact on a teenager. I had to add this sentence because I didn't have a conclusion, so I added it and I bolded it to show that it's the conclusion. I used a concluding transition, obviously, with a comma after it to show that I was wrapping up my paragraph, and then I made sure that it matched my main idea and kind of just summarized the idea of the paragraph. Okay, so you guys get a picture of what's going on. You can see changes are highlighted. They tend to be pretty major changes, and then that's exactly what it would sound like. You would start describing what you added and say like the first one and maybe read it, say why you did it, how it helps your reader. Like I mentioned something helping organize it for my reader. I mentioned adding quotation marks, so it could be punctuation. I mentioned a concluding sentence. It could be anything, even a run-on or whatever I put before too. So you might have a lot more highlighting than this, and that's okay. You want to take the time to explain all your changes, and that's what you're going to get credit for, is the improvements that you make. So not just the quality of your original essay, but the actual quality of your improvements. Remember, metacognition and text. You've already got your essay. Now you're going to fix your essay, and then you're going to explain through TouchCast Studio, which is a free app to make sure you've downloaded if you haven't yet. It's this one. Make sure that you explain the thinking about thinking. Why did you change it? How does it help your reader? What didn't you understand, or were you lazy about, or what will you make sure to fix for next time? And that's your meta text.